The scream was torn away by the wind before it even left her throat. Clara's fingernails clawed uselessly at the wet steel railing as her heels skidded across the deck. The ferry wasn't just rocking, it was rolling over. The horizon tilted at a sickening angle. The ocean, black, freezing, and churning like a nightmare, rose up to swallow her whole. She slipped. Her hand lost its grip on the cold metal. She was falling into the dark water, but she didn't hit the waves. A hand, rough, calloused, and caked in dry gray cement, snapped around her wrist like a steel trap. Clara gasped, swinging helplessly over the churning abyss, and looked up. She expected a crew member. She expected a uniform. Instead, she saw him. The man everyone had laughed at 10 minutes ago. The dirty laborer with the holes in his t-shirt. His face was streaked with rain and engine grease, but his eyes were terrifyingly calm. While everyone else was screaming, this man was absolute stone. He looked down at her, his muscles straining against his worn-out jacket, and shouted over the roar of the storm. "I've got you! Do not let go!" It's easy to judge a book by its cover. But if you believe that a man's worth lies in his character and not his wallet, click the like button and subscribe to the channel right now. Let's show the algorithm that honest work deserves respect. Now, let's go back 3 hours to understand how it all began. 3 hours earlier, the afternoon sun was beating down on the white hull of the Liberty Star. It was the Friday rush hour run from downtown Seattle to the islands, a commute filled with tired bankers, tech executives, and tourists hoping to catch a sunset. The air inside the main cabin smelled of expensive cologne and roasted coffee. It was a floating lounge for the successful. And then, the doors opened, and Lucas walked in. The conversation in the front rows died instantly. Lucas held the hands of his 2 children, 10-year-old Mia and 8-year-old Leo. He was a stark contrast to the polished crowd. His work boots were heavy and caked with dried mud. His jeans were stiff with stone dust. His gray t-shirt was stained with sweat and white mortar spots from a 12-hour shift laying brick. He didn't smell bad. He smelled of hard work, of earth and honest labor. But in this pristine cabin, he looked like an intruder. "Stay close, guys," Lucas whispered, his voice raspy from breathing dust all day. "Just find a spot. Any spot." He was exhausted. You could see it in the way his shoulders slumped, the deep lines around his eyes. He wasn't old, maybe mid-40s, but life had been heavy on him lately. Since his wife passed, he had taken every overtime shift available, working double duty as a mason to keep the house and feed the kids. He had made a promise to them, no more nights away, no more traveling jobs. He would be a dad who was there, even if it meant breaking his back carrying stones. Mia kept her head down, her cheeks flushing pink. She saw the looks. She saw a woman in a beige business suit pull her purse tighter. She saw a teenager snicker and point at Lucas's dusty boots. Mia squeezed her father's hand harder. She hated this part of the day. She hated how people looked at her hero as if he were invisible. The ferry was packed. Lucas scanned the room, his back throbbing with a dull ache. He spotted 3 empty seats near the window in the frequent traveler section. "There," he said, guiding the sleepy kids toward the view. "Let's sit down." "Excuse me." The voice was cold and sharp. A man in a tailored charcoal suit blocked their path. He was holding a tablet and didn't even look Lucas in the face. He was staring in disgust at Lucas's pants. "Those seats," the man said, "are for passengers who won't leave a mess." Lucas stopped. He blinked, too tired for confrontation. "I paid for my ticket, sir. Same price as yours." "Maybe," the man sneered, looking around for approval from the other passengers. "But look at you. You're covered in filth. Someone has to sit there after you get off. Have some respect for public property. Go sit on the back deck." The cabin went silent. It was a cruel, unnecessary moment. 2 rows back, Clara watched. She was a marketing director, dressed in a sharp blazer, typing on her laptop. She heard the insult. She felt a knot of discomfort in her stomach. She knew the man in the suit was being a jerk. She looked at Lucas, at his tired eyes, at the 2 kids shrinking in shame. "I should say something," she thought. "I should tell that guy to back off," but she didn't. She didn't want the conflict. She didn't want to be that person making a scene on a Friday. So she looked back at her screen. She let it happen. It was a silence she would regret very soon. Lucas looked at the man in the suit. His jaw tightened. A flash of something dangerous passed behind his eyes. A flicker of an old instinct. A memory of a time when he was the one giving orders, when he commanded respect. But he pushed it down. He couldn't risk a fight. He couldn't risk the police. He was a single dad. He had to swallow the poison. "You're right," Lucas said, his voice low and controlled. "Come on, kids." He turned his back on the man. He led Leo and Mia to the rear of the boat, near the noisy engine room access door and the vending machines. There were no seats, so Lucas took off his dusty work jacket, folded it inside out to hide the dirt, and placed it on the metal floor. "VIP seating," he joked, trying to force a smile for Leo. "Camping style. Best spot on the boat." He sat down on the cold steel floor next to them. He opened a packet of cheap peanut butter crackers and handed them to the kids. Leo ate happily, but Mia wouldn't look up. "Daddy," she whispered. "Why are they so mean?" Lucas brushed a stray hair from her forehead. "Listen to me. Dirt washes off, Mia. Rudeness, that stays forever. Never be ashamed of work. This dirt pays for our home. There is no shame in being tired." He leaned his head back against the vibrating wall of the engine room. He closed his eyes, just wanting to rest for 5 minutes. Thump, thump, hiss. Lucas's eyes snapped open. He froze. He tilted his head, listening. To anyone else, it was just the noise of the ship. But Lucas knew machines. He knew the rhythm of heavy diesel engines like a musician knows a melody. And the melody was wrong. There was a micro-stutter in the vibration, a hollow clunk coming from below the waterline. He stood up slowly. The exhaustion vanished from his face. He looked out the porthole. The sky had turned a bruised purple. The water, calm when they boarded, was now chopping aggressively against the hull. "Dad?" Leo asked, sensing the change in his father's energy. "Stay on the jacket," Lucas said. His voice wasn't soft anymore. It was tight, urgent. "Do not move." Up in the bridge, Captain Junior was leaning back in his chair, scrolling through social media on his phone. He was the owner's nephew, a 26-year-old with a certificate and an ego, but very little time on open water. The autopilot was on. He was bored. Junior glanced at the radar and frowned for half a second. "Wind's shifting," he muttered, adjusting a dial before leaning back again. "Squall line approaching, Cap," the first mate mumbled, looking at the radar. "Wind speed picking up fast." "It's just rain," Junior said without looking up. "Don't slow down. I have a dinner reservation at 7. Junior didn't feel the vibration. He didn't hear the clunk. He trusted the computer. Down below, Lucas grabbed the handrail as the boat took a sudden, strange lurch to the left. It didn't feel like a wave. It felt like the ship was sliding on ice. "Something's wrong," Lucas muttered to himself. He looked at the heavy steel door of the engine room. He debated for a split second. Should he knock? Should he warn someone? But before he could move, the storm hit. It wasn't a gradual buildup. The squall slammed into the Liberty Star like a hammer. A 40-knot wind gust hit the vessel broadside. At that exact moment, the hydraulic line, the one Lucas had heard hissing, blew out. The steering wheel in the bridge spun freely. The rudder jammed hard to port. The ferry didn't just turn, it tipped. Luggage flew across the cabin. The man in the gray suit screamed as his coffee scalded his chest. The lights flickered and died, replaced by red emergency strobes. Chaos erupted. And in the middle of the screaming crowd, only one man was standing still, balancing perfectly on the shifting deck, calculating his next move. The world had turned sideways. The Liberty Star wasn't just rocking, it was listing at a sickening 30-degree angle. The physics of the room changed instantly. Tables became slides, purses, laptops, and hot coffee became projectiles. The screams that filled the cabin were primal. The sound of people realizing that their status, their money, and their dinner reservations meant absolutely nothing against the violence of the ocean. Clara, the woman who had stayed silent while Lucas was insulted, was one of the first victims of the tilt. She had been standing near the starboard exit, trying to get a signal on her phone. When the boat rolled, the floor dropped out from under her. She slammed into the wet railing, the breath knocked out of her lungs. The rusted gate, poorly maintained, groaned under the sudden weight. With a metallic snap, the latch gave way. Clara screamed. She slid backward, her legs dangling over the churning black water. The ferry was moving fast, dragging her through the spray. The cold shock of the water lashed at her ankles. She clawed at the slick metal deck, her fingernails breaking, finding no purchase. She looked back into the cabin, her eyes wide with the certainty of death. The man in the gray suit, the one who had mocked Lucas, was clinging to a table leg, staring at her. He saw her falling. And he did nothing. He was paralyzed by his own fear. Then, a shadow moved through the red emergency lights. It wasn't a frantic movement. It was precise. Lucas didn't scramble. He lunged. He planted his work boots against a bolted-down bench to anchor himself. He reached out with a hand that was swollen from years of lifting stone. His fingers locked around Clara's wrist. The grip was bruising. It was the grip of a man who worked with granite and steel. The layer of dried cement dust on his skin acted like sandpaper, creating friction against her wet skin. Clara gasped, looking up. She expected to see panic in his eyes. She saw none. "Look at me!" Lucas roared over the wind. "Not at the water. Look at me." Clara locked eyes with him. In that moment, the social hierarchy of the ferry evaporated. He wasn't the dirty laborer anymore. He was the only thing tethering her to the earth. With a grunt of exertion that corded the muscles in his neck, Lucas pulled. He didn't just drag her. He hoisted her up with a terrifying strength, swinging her body back onto the safety of the deck plates. She collapsed on the floor, wet, shivering, and sobbing. Lucas was breathing hard, but he didn't stop to be thanked. He immediately turned his attention back to the corner where he had left his children. "Leo, Mia, sound off." "We're here, Dad!" Mia cried out. She had followed his instructions perfectly. She and Leo were huddled on his jacket, gripping the base of the vending machine. They were terrified, but they were safe. Lucas crawled over to them, ignoring the shattered glass cutting into his knees. He grabbed their faces, checking for injuries. "You're okay. You're brave. Stay with me." Around them, the cabin was a nightmare. People were piling up against the lower wall. The man in the gray suit was hyperventilating, clutching his chest. "We're going to sink!" he shrieked. "Why isn't the captain saying anything? We're going to die!" Lucas looked up at the ceiling speakers. Silence. Only static. The boat wallowed in the trough of a massive wave, rolling dangerously deep. It struggled to come back up. "The stabilizers aren't engaging," Lucas whispered to himself. He could feel the engine vibrations through the floor. "And the port engine is fighting the starboard rudder. He's driving us into the roll." He realized the terrifying truth. The person driving the boat didn't know how to save it. Lucas looked at Clara. She was still on the floor, staring at him with a mixture of shock and awe. She was shivering violently. Lucas stripped off his flannel overshirt, revealing a stained white undershirt underneath, and tossed it to her. "Put this on," he ordered. It wasn't a suggestion. Clara wrapped the dirty, cement-dusted shirt around her silk blouse. She didn't care about the dirt anymore. It smelled like safety. "I have to go," Lucas said, looking toward the stairs that led to the bridge. "What?" Clara grabbed his arm. "No, you can't leave us. The boat is sinking." "It will sink if I don't go," Lucas said, his voice dropping to a low, intense register. "The captain is fighting the sea. He needs to ride it. If he keeps turning against this wind, we're going to capsize in 3 minutes." He looked at his children. This was the hardest moment of his life. He had promised them he would never leave them. He had promised to be safe, but if he stayed here, hugging them, they would all drown together. "Mia," Lucas said, grabbing his daughter's shoulders. "Look at me. I need you to be the captain down here. Can you do that?" Mia nodded, tears streaming down her face. Without thinking, Clara stepped in front of the children, bracing herself as another wave rocked the cabin. Lucas turned to Clara. He grabbed her hand, the same hand he had just saved. "Listen to me. You are responsible for them now. Do not let them move. Do not let go of them. If the water comes in, you get them to the life jackets in that locker. Do you understand?" Clara looked at the 2 children, then at the man who had just saved her life. She saw the desperation and the trust in his eyes. She nodded. "I promise. I won't let them go." Lucas stood up. The floor was tilted at a 20-degree angle, making the walk to the stairs a climbing expedition. He moved through the panicked crowd. A young man grabbed his leg. "Help me! I can't find my wife!" Lucas stopped, grabbed the man by the collar, and pointed to the high side of the cabin. "She's up there by the snack bar. Climb up. Get off the floor. Move!" He pushed the man towards safety and kept moving. He reached the stairs to the upper deck. They were blocked by a vending machine that had torn loose. Lucas didn't hesitate. He jammed his shoulder against the heavy steel box, his boots slipping on the soda-slicked floor. With a roar of effort, he shoved the machine aside just enough to squeeze through. He burst out onto the upper deck. The wind here was ferocious. The rain was flying horizontally, stinging like needles. The ferry was drifting sideways, completely at the mercy of the ocean. Lucas looked up at the bridge windows. He could see figures moving frantically inside. He ran toward the heavy steel door of the command deck. It was locked. Electronic mag lock. He pounded on the door. "Open up! Open the door!" Inside, the first mate saw him on the camera monitor. "Cap, there's a passenger banging on the door. It's that construction guy." Captain Junior was pale. He was gripping the wheel with white knuckles, sweating profusely. The alarms were screaming, hydraulic failure, engine overheat, list angle critical. "Ignore him!" Junior yelled, his voice cracking. "I'm calling Mayday! Why isn't the Coast Guard answering?" "Cap, we're taking water on the car deck!" the first mate screamed. Outside, Lucas knew they weren't going to open the door. He looked around. He saw a fire axe mounted in a glass case on the wall. He didn't think. He smashed the glass with his elbow, ignoring the cut that opened up on his skin. He grabbed the axe. He turned back to the steel door. He wasn't a vandal. He was a rescuer. He swung the axe, not at the lock, but at the window of the door. The reinforced glass spiderwebbed. He swung again, and again. The glass shattered. Lucas reached through, unlocked the manual override, and threw the door open. He stepped onto the bridge. The silence of the soundproofed room was jarring compared to the storm outside, but the energy was pure panic. Captain Junior spun around. "Get out! This is a restricted area. I'll have you arrested." Lucas didn't stop. He walked straight toward the console. He was dripping wet, bleeding from his elbow, covered in cement dust, and he looked bigger than anyone else in the room. "You're drowning them." "We have minutes," Lucas said flatly. "Get him out of here," Junior screamed to the first mate. The first mate, a burly guy, stepped forward to block Lucas. "Sir, you need to leave right now." Lucas stopped. He looked at the first mate. He didn't raise his fists. He just projected an aura of absolute authority. The kind of authority you don't learn in a classroom, the kind you earn in the middle of the Bering Sea. "Look at your inclinometer," Lucas said, pointing to the gauge. "You're at 32 degrees. At 35, the cars shift. At this angle, gravity stops being negotiable. You are turning into the swell. You need to hard reverse the starboard engine and pivot the bow into the wind. Do it now, or you kill everyone on this boat." The first mate hesitated. He looked at the gauge, then he looked at Lucas. He saw the way Lucas stood, feet apart, braced, hands ready. He saw the eyes of a commander. "He's right, Cap," the first mate whispered. "No!" Junior panicked. "The manual says we maintain heading. I'm the captain." Junior grabbed the throttle and pushed it forward, trying to power through the wave. The ship groaned. The tilt increased. 33 degrees. 34 degrees. Lucas didn't wait for permission. He moved. Lucas just broke into the cockpit and is about to commit mutiny to save the ship. But think about his position. He could be arrested. He could go to jail and leave his children alone again. If you were in his shoes, knowing you had the skill to save everyone, but the law was against you, would you take the wheel? Or would you stay safe with your family and hope for the best? Tell me what you would do in the comments below. Take the wheel, or stay with family. Now, let's see what Lucas does. Junior lunged for the throttle, his face twisted in panic. "Don't touch that. You'll flip us." Lucas didn't argue. He didn't have time for a debate club. With a movement that was almost too fast to see, he caught Junior's wrist, twisted it away from the controls, and used his shoulder to firmly shove the young captain backward. Junior stumbled and fell onto the chart table, gasping in shock. "Sit down and shut up," Lucas growled. It wasn't a shout. It was a low, guttural command that vibrated through. Lucas grabbed the twin throttles. His hands, rough and scarred from laying brick, felt the vibration of the ship instantly. It was muscle memory. The years of commanding search and rescue cutters in the Bering Sea came flooding back. He didn't see a ferry anymore. He saw vectors, wind speed and buoyancy. "Port engine, full reverse," Lucas narrated his own actions, his voice calm and icy. "Starboard engine, full ahead, hard rudder right. He slammed the levers in opposite directions. The Liberty Star groaned. The metal hull shrieked as the conflicting forces of the propellers fought against the momentum of the storm. For 3 terrifying seconds, nothing happened. The ship hung there, tilted at 34 degrees, the waves licking the windows of the lower deck. The first mate held his breath, gripping the console. Then, slowly, the bow began to swing. Lucas feathered the controls, feeling the bite of the water. He wasn't fighting the wave anymore. He was turning the ship's nose into it. As the bow cut into the oncoming swell, the terrifying roll stopped. The ship leveled out. The inclinometer needle dropped from the red zone. 34 degrees. 30. 20. 10. "Stabilizers are re-engaging," the first mate whispered, staring at Lucas as if he were a magician. "How did you know the hydraulics would catch if we pivoted?" Lucas didn't answer. He was watching the radar. "Get me a damage report on the car deck and call the Coast Guard back. Tell them the situation is under control. We're proceeding under manual command. We are limping into the harbor under manual control." He stood there for 20 minutes, piloting the massive vessel through the tail end of the squall with the precision of a surgeon. He didn't look like a construction worker now. The cement dust on his face looked like war paint. The sweat on his brow looked like a crown. When the harbor lights of the island finally came into view, Lucas pulled the throttles back to neutral. He exhaled. A long, shaky breath. The adrenaline was fading, and the exhaustion of the work week was crashing back in. He stepped away from the helm. "You can dock her now," Lucas said to the first mate, ignoring Junior completely. "Just keep her steady." The first mate hesitated. Coast Guard's asking who took the helm. He turned and walked out of the bridge without waiting for a thank you. He had to get back to his kids. The crowd began to disembark. The rain had stopped, leaving the air fresh and clean. Lucas tried to slip away toward the parking lot, his kids in tow. He just wanted to go home, take a shower, and sleep for a week. But a hand touched his shoulder. It was Clara. She had cleaned herself up a little, but she was still wearing his dirty flannel shirt. She held it out to him, folded neatly. "I think this belongs to you," she said, her voice soft. Lucas took the shirt. Their fingers brushed. "You keep it," he said with a tired smile. "It's got cement dust on it. Hard to wash out." "I don't mind," Clara said. She didn't pull her hand away. "Lucas, I heard what the crew said. You're not just a mason, are you?" Lucas looked at the ground. "I was a search and rescue commander. A long time ago. Before my wife passed. I gave it up to be with them." He nodded at Leo and Mia. "The ocean takes you away too much. Stone doesn't move. Stone lets me come home at night." Clara's eyes filled with tears. The humble worker narrative shattered, replaced by something much deeper. A man of immense talent who chose to be less for the sake of love. "You saved my life today," Clara said. "Literally. You pulled me out of the dark." "I just did what was right," Lucas mumbled, shifting his weight. "Anyone would have done it." "No," Clara shook her head firmly. "That guy in the gray suit didn't do it. The captain didn't do it. You did." She reached into her purse and pulled out a card. She hesitated, then pulled out a pen and wrote a personal number on the back. "I know you just want to go home," she said, her cheeks turning a slight shade of pink. "But I would really like to buy you dinner. Not as a thank you. I mean, yes, as a thank you, but also, I'd like to get to know the man who hides a hero inside a construction uniform." Lucas looked at the card. Then he looked at his kids. Mia was grinning. Leo gave him a subtle thumbs up. They liked her. She hadn't looked at them with pity. She had protected them. She had worn their dad's dirty shirt like a coat of armor. Lucas looked back at Clara. For the first time in 3 years, the heaviness in his chest felt a little lighter. I'd like that," Lucas said, his voice raspy. "But I have to warn you. I don't own a suit. Just these work clothes." Clara smiled, and it was the most beautiful thing Lucas had seen all day. "Lucas," she said, stepping closer. "After what I saw today, I prefer the work clothes. They tell the truth." She touched his arm one last time, a promise of something new beginning, and walked toward her car. Lucas watched her go. "Dad," Mia tugged on his hand. "She's nice. She smells like flowers." "Yeah," Lucas smiled, putting the card in his pocket next to his heart. "She does." As Lucas walked his children to their beat-up truck, the man in the gray suit watched from the sidewalk, waiting for a taxi. He looked at Lucas, then at his own reflection in a puddle. He looked ashamed. The world is full of uniforms. We wear suits to feel important. We wear brands to feel valuable. We judge the man with the dirty hands, the woman with the tired eyes, the worker on the bus. We forget that the foundation of our world is built by the people who aren't afraid to get dirty. True value isn't in what you wear. It's in what you can do. It's in who you are when the storm hits. Lucas didn't look like a captain that day, but he was the only one who could sail the ship. So the next time you see someone in dirty boots, don't look down on them. Look up to them, because they might just be the ones holding your world together. This is the story of the captain in rags. If this story touched your heart, and if you believe that a good father is the greatest hero of all, please share this video with your family. And don't forget, be kind. You never know who you are standing next to.